I am Vancouver's Whiskey Guardian. What is a Whiskey Guardian, you ask? It's effectively our brand ambassador program, spanning all the way down the West Coast, from Vancouver, British Columbia, down to San Diego, all the way to Honolulu, to Melbourne and Sydney, for our West Coast, Best Coast team. Domet here, Whiskey Guardian for Angel's Envy, Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm going to tell you all about our whiskey today. As Whiskey Guardian, I am effectively the brand ambassador and the face of the brand here in Vancouver and British Columbia. So hopefully everywhere you see Angel's Envy at your favorite bar, you'll be thinking of this face, with a mask on and socially distanced, of course. Got my job at the beginning of January 2020, before the world decided that we wanted to go with the 2.0 version. And at that time, I got to travel to Louisville, because those that know me know I absolutely love bourbon. And the American whiskey category as a whole, but bourbon specifically, has long been a passion of mine. From the years that I worked at the Diamond, where I am now, physically at this moment, or to Poorhouse, where I am absolutely the bar manager as well. Absolutely, I am the bar manager, just in case you were worried about that. As Whiskey Guardian, my job is to spread that good word. And along with my West Coast, Best Coast team, we are tasked with spreading the love of bourbon and Angel's Envy and the craftsmanship and passion that Lincoln Henderson, his son Wes, and his grandson Kyle, and the rest of the Henderson family have put into a lifetime work to create this wonderful, wonderful spirit, and really just keep the bourbon industry alive and thriving, and always looking to innovation while maintaining what was done years before. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of the brand, starting with the bottle and going down from there. If you ever get the chance, I hope you do, and very soon, you get to go back to your bar and crack open the top of the Angel's Envy bottle, and you look around the edge right there, as you'll see 10 over 10, indicating October 2010, when Angel's Envy was meant to launch. First, second week of September of 2010, you know, I have just moved to Vancouver, still just a busboy at the Canby, so excited. Never learned what a cocktail was in my entire life other than a gin and soda, and I didn't even think those mixed. Lincoln Henderson is down in Louisville, and they're tasting through their barrels, and they go to taste. And he says, no, it's not ready yet. The whiskey's just not ready. And the marketing team says, no, it's gotta be ready. 10 over 10, that's when we're gonna launch. All the corks, they're all made up. This is when it's supposed to be. And Lincoln says, no, you know, if it's gonna have my name on it, it's gonna have that quality product. So it's gonna wait for another 6 months. Well, we're glad he did. If you're gonna put something together and you're gonna put all this time into it, you know, you gotta make sure that it's right. So leaving that 10 over 10 on the cork is to always reminding yourself that whatever you do it till the best, and put all of your heart and all of what you do into it. Lincoln worked in the bourbon industry for nearly 50 years before retiring and moving over to Scotland to learn more about their whiskey making process, specifically secondary finishing, which we're going to get into in just a little bit. So Lincoln Henderson worked for Brown-Forman, famous company, worked for them for a long time, developed brands such as Old Forester, was a key instrumental figure in creating Woodford Reserve, and the Gentleman Jack Daniel's line of whiskeys as well. After working for Brown-Forman for almost 50 years, he decides to retire, but go on and move into another whiskey making process, or a style as well, and moves over to Scotland. Learning from Glenmorangie, a famous Scotch distillery, and learning their secondary finishing. Now this is very important, which we're going to get to in a little bit. Works in Scotland, it's Glenmorangie for a long time, retires, comes back to the United States just to relax, enjoy the grandkids, enjoy retirement, enjoy a whiskey on the porch. His son, Wesley, says, Dad, I want you to come out of retirement. I want you to make a whiskey with me. It'll be our family legacy and our family heritage to leave to the bourbon industry. Lincoln says, oh, no, Wes, no. you know, I just want to retire, enjoy the whiskey, and enjoy the grandkids. A couple more years later, you know, from what I understand, they're sitting around the dinner table, pulling whiskeys from their collection, blending little bits of this, little bits of that, little bits of this, and little bits of that. And you can only imagine the collection of rare and old whiskeys that Lincoln and Wes Henderson have in their collection, right? So Lincoln says, you know, Wes, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do something new. So looking back to his experience working with Glenmorangie, that secondary finishing that we mentioned before, this is where the experience and the fortitude of having decades under his belt and in his head of what are we gonna do to sustain the bourbon industry, to keep it going, to innovate, to be mindful of the past, respect and honor tradition, but still to innovate and make a better product at the end of the day. It comes from the Angel's Share, which is the name of what happens to the spirit that evaporates out of the barrel during its aging process. So Lincoln, when he pulls the spirit thief into the glass, noses the whiskey and says, oh, you know, those angels, well, they'd be envious of what we've got left in our glasses. So those barrels, that's the kicker here for Angel's Envy. You know, you say, what makes Angel's Envy so special? Why is it unique? Why is it so lush? Well, it's the secondary finishing. Being a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, Angel's Envy must be aged for a minimum of 2 years. Angel's Envy bourbon is aged for 6. However, it is finished for an additional 6 months in port wine barrels, making it the first secondary finished American whiskey. Now your patience has definitely paid off, because you find yourself a little glass and get a little bit of that beautiful Angel's Envy, that liquid lace right inside there. So taste along with me. To the nose first. Give it the good morning, oh, that good afternoon, good evening, and here's to a good night. All right, fantastic. That's classic Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. On the nose, oh, subtle vanilla, raisins, maple syrup, toasted nuts. To the palate now. Again, vanilla, ripe fruit, maple syrup, toast, nice bitter chocolate. Well, it's a clean finish. A lingering sweetness and a slowly fading Madeira. Yeah. That is classic. That is classic Kentucky straight bourbon. Well, we've learned about the brand. We've tasted the whiskey. Now let's have some fun. Let's make cocktails. Let's make some bourbon and bubbly cocktails. Two of my favorite things to drink, finally together, right? So this is my favorite cocktails of all time. They call it the Red Hot Love. And this pours some very fresh raspberries, popped right into there, with some lemon, 1-to-1 simple syrup, a healthy, and I say healthy pour, of Angel's Envy, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, finished in port barrels, from the mine and cellars of Lincoln Henderson. Oh, that color though. And just a little bit, some sparkling wine to increase that nice lush, velvety texture and flavor that we get from that port finish. And there we are. Friends, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a lot. If you have any more questions, my contact is here. It's right down at the bottom right there. And as always, drink responsibly, love what you drink, but drink what you love. Cheers. Thanks very much.